interceptor one. I'll talk to you more about that on Monday. So we're going to spend 2 days on this. What we're going to talk about today are linear functions, slope, x and y intercept, equations and lines. You spent months of time on this in Algebra 1, and this is practically all you did in Algebra 1. Y'all remember doing rise over run and all of that fun stuff? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to pick that material back up. It is actually a pretty big part of college algebra, where we will look at linear functions. So that's what we're going to do today and Monday, because it is a lot of material. It's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I am going to give you the homework tonight, and you will want to start on it tonight, but it is big, and you'll see when you get it, it's not a one-night assignment. The one danger in giving you a 2-day assignment is some of you will go, I will just do it all Monday night. I will warn you, it's long. If you want to do that, that's fine, but it's long. I would recommend it. Well, it's not a lot for 2 days. It's a lot if you do it all in one night. It's due on, actually due on Wednesday.
Oh, you're awesome.
Or Tuesday. Yes. And some of it you'll want to start doing, but the whole thing won't be due. So what I'm saying is don't ignore it, but it's not due on Monday. So that's what. But I also have to say, okay, graph the line. Did everyone know how to do that? We've done that in here, right? How do you do that?
X is at negative.
Okay, the y-intercept is at -5 because of the v value on y equals mx plus b. Good. I can go rise 3, run 1. And that's the graph. Find the slope. What is the slope? What is the y-intercept? Then it has the x-intercept. I didn't know how to find that. I was not careful enough drawing it, by the way. Substitute what? I heard substitute what? 0 and for y. Would you agree that the x-intercept is when y is 0? The y-intercept is when x is 0, and the x-intercept is when y is 0? So let's do that really quick. If I put 0 in for y, could I find that x value? What would I do first? Add 5. And or you could write this as 5/3, 0, because it's the point 5/3, 0.
I have something for James Lee.
Thank you. Any questions about that? X-intercept, y-intercept, slope. So those are all kind of things we know, but we're gonna look at them more in detail today. Good so far? Linear functions are functions that can be written in the form y equals mx plus b, where m and b are constants, or are numbers. So m is the slope, b is the y-intercept, linear function, y equals mx plus b. For almost all linear functions, the domain and range is negative infinity to infinity. Why do I say almost all? Does anyone know one linear function that doesn't have a range of negative infinity to infinity? Well, it's linear, so it's just a line. So I said almost all linear functions have a domain range of negative infinity to infinity. There's one type.
Is that like straight?
A horizontal line. Why is a horizontal line's range not negative infinity? Because it's just that one point, that horizontal line. So that's almost all our negative infinity to infinity for domain and range. Horizontal line is the one exception. The range of a horizontal line is just one number. It's whatever that y value is. So that's why it says almost all for most. Vertical lines technically aren't functions. But you're right, a vertical line would not have a domain and range of all of those. Horizontal and vertical lines are kind of our straight ones. Okay, I'll talk slower. Well, if it's at 0, if it's y equals 3, the range would be 3. That makes sense. Can I go back?
Yeah.
Anytime you slow down. Okay, let's talk about slope. Slope is rise over run. The formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You need to know that. So if you don't know that, write it down. One of the most common errors with slope is getting the sign wrong. Positive slope or negative slope and getting that sign wrong. The cool thing is you can tell if it's positive or negative just based on the picture. If the line goes up to the right, that's a positive slope line. If the line goes down to the right, then it's a negatively sloped line. If it's horizontal, and we learned this on last test, in fact you were tested for this already. A horizontal line has a slope of 0, and a vertical line has an undefined slope. So write those down. A positive slope goes up to the right, negative slope down to the right, 0 slope is horizontal, undefined slope is vertical. No, that would give you the distance of that, like the line between the 2 points, not slope. Slope is rise over run. If you're wondering what slope is, kind of at its root, if you're looking at a mountain and you want to know how steep it is, somehow you'd have to describe the slope, which is how far up you go, depending on how far over you go, you know what I mean by that? And that would determine the steepness of the mountain. So that's what slope comes from, and that's why we use it, is to determine how steep something is. To be able to compare. So I have a bunch of different questions. All of these ask me to find slope. I want to find a slope on 6 different questions. Do you need to know this for the ACT? It's on there. So on number 1, how would I find the slope? How would I go about doing that? Yep, y by itself. Everyone agree? So, what's the first thing you would do? Subtract 3x from both sides. And then what? Divide by -2. Make sure you divide both of those pieces by -2. Now for this, I don't really care about the y-intercept because it didn't ask. So I only care about the slope, but in general, make sure you divide both of those pieces by that -2. So what is this slope?
20 pencil out 3 times.
That is 3 over 2. And several of you said it, when it's a negative divided by a negative, it becomes positive. So it's just 3 over 2. It asks for the slope only. Now, if you wanted the y-intercept, it would actually be -7 over 2. But it just asks for the slope. So need to reduce it. Remember in this class you always have a calculator and math enter will reduce any fractions for you. Everyone know the math enter button?
No.
Okay, get your calculator out really quick. We'll do one that actually reduces. Type -6/4 in your calculator and type math enter. Yeah, -6 divided by 4 math enter. Do you see what it will do when you do math enter? It will give you the reduced fraction for you. It's real nice. Does everyone see how to do that? That will be a favorite button of yours, probably.
Like that?
Yep. So it'll divide it for you. Let me see. Yep. And it'll reduce it for you. Hey. Root of the blanks, 5, -2, and -3/4. How am I going to do that? The formula. Before I do this slope formula, what is x and y, 1 and 2, right? I need to know that. So, in a point, which ones are x's? The first ones and which ones are y's?
Next one.
It doesn't matter which one is 1 and 2, you get to pick that. Okay? It doesn't matter which one's point number 1, point number 2. What does matter is that you are consistent. So if I call this x1 and y1, that means this is x2 and y2. Again, if you label those backwards, it'd be okay. It'll come out the same. So that's not a big deal. It is a big deal that you are consistent with what you're picking. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1. Divided by x2 minus x1. Any questions so far? For if the computation is something that gets you, does everyone know how to use your fraction bar on your calculator? Alpha y equals will pop over fraction bar. You can type this exact thing in your calculator. We'll simplify it for you. So you need to do that yourself. I get 6/-8, which reduces to -3/4. Again, your math enter button will reduce it all the way to the -3/4. You happen to use your calculator. Any questions about that? So the slope on number 2 is -3/4. Let's look at number 3. Which ones are the y's on number 3? The -4 and the -4. So those go on top, and the x's go on the bottom. Oh. So -4 minus -4 goes on top. And on the bottom you get, depending on which way you started, so to you, -4 minus 0 on the bottom. No, sorry, 8 minus 0 on the bottom. -4 minus -4, what is -4 minus -4? 0, and what's 0 divided by anything? So that slope is 0. Let me show you that on a picture. If I have to point 0, -4, and 8, -4, wouldn't that give me a line with a slope of 0? It makes sense, doesn't it? So it works out, the formula works out and gives me the slope that it should give me. 5, 2, and 5, 8. Should that be a vertical line? 5, 2, and 5, 8. So let's see what happens when I do the points 5, 2, and 5, 8. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What does your calculator say when you type that in? Error. What does that mean? It's an undefined slope. Does that make sense? It's a vertical line. Makes perfect sense. You can't divide by 0, so you get undefined. questions about those? What if I have a graph? How do I find the slope? Rise over run. I'm going to count. I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But which way did I run? Left. And what does that mean? Now, what if you started at this point and said you went right, or you went down toward right 6? Would you still get negative? If the 4 went into negative, if you went down. So if you go down or left, that's a negative, left, that's a negative direction. If you go up or right, that's positive, it's a positive direction. So rise was 4, run was negative 6, so it's negative 2/3. Questions about that one? Let's see. It looks like it crosses at negative 4. 0, negative 4 is 2, 3. So I rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I run 2. Now notice, what way did this line face? It was going down. Check to make sure you get a negative slope when your line's going down. If you accidentally mess it up, you can just fix it by throwing a negative in front. This line's going up to the right. It should be positive. So just make that quick check in your head. A lot of people, that's when they mess slope up, is getting the negative side wrong. So just take a look. X and Y intersects. We talked about this a little bit on the over here. To find an x-intercept in an equation, we're going to replace the y value with 0 and solve for x. To find a y-intercept, you're going to replace x with 0 and solve for y. Now, if it's in slope-intercept form already, the y-intercept's just b, so we can just see it. But this is a more general way to find y-intercept, and it makes it easier if it's not in slope-intercept form. To find the x and y-intercepts. So write that down. Find an x-intercept, replace y with 0 and solve. So find a y-intercept, replace x with 0 and solve. Okay, so let's look at the first example. Now, I could get y by itself to put it in slope-intercept form to find a y-intercept. I could do it that way, but I'm going to show you this way to find x and y-intercepts. It is faster on a problem like this. So to find the x-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for y. And if you wonder why we're doing that, would you agree if I'm crossing the x-axis, my y value is 0? And if I'm crossing the y-axis, my x value is 0. So that's why you would replace it that way. So I'm going to put 0 in for y and solve for x. Actually turns out to be pretty easy to do, doesn't it? Once you put the 0, because 0 times anything just goes away. And so you just get 3x equals 7. That makes it 7. You put the 0 in for y. And so x is 7 over 3. So that's my x-intercept. This equation would cross the x-axis at 7 minutes. If they want you to write it in point format, comma 0, because it's the point on the x-axis. 7/3 would be the x value, 0 would be the y value. So you can write it either way. I'll accept either one, but just know that's the point format, or you could just say the x-intercept is 7/3. Those would both be correct. For the y-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for x. So the 3 times 0 will go away, and so I just get negative 2y equals 7. 0 in for the x, so I get negative 2y equals 7. We okay so far? So I'm going to divide by negative 2. So I get y equals 7 over negative 2, or negative 7. Any questions about that? If I wanted to write a y-intercept in point format, it would be 0, comma, negative 7 over 2. Because the x value is 0 and the y value is that y-intercept. So if you want to write it in point format, that's fine. Any questions about that one? If I see an equation in this format, the y-intercept, I'm just going to answer it, right?
Please excuse the interruption. James Cook, please report to the high school office. James Cook, please report to the high school office.
What is the y-intercept? 8. How do you know? Okay, 2 ways. One, if you put 0 in for x, it comes out as 8. 2, it's in mx plus b format, and we know that the b is the y-intercept. So either way works on that one. You can do that whichever way you want. So the y-intercept is 0, 8. Again, you could put 0 in for x to find that, or you could just look at it because it's in slope-intercept form. But going back to the previous one, are you glad you didn't have to put that in slope-intercept form to find the y-intercept? This was a little easier, wasn't it? So you only need the y-intercept. You don't have to go to point slope-intercept form, but hey, if it's already there, we'll use it. For the x-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for y. Subtract the 8 over, or you could have subtracted the 3x. Divide by 3. So negative 8 over 3 equals x. So my point is negative 8 over 3 comma 0. Or if you just wanted to write it as x equals negative 8 over 3, that would work as well. Any questions about that? Okay, if we're given a graph, where is the y-intercept? 1. Where's the x-intercept? 1.5. How are you finding that? That's where it crosses the x-axis at 1.5 and it crosses the y-axis at 1. So it crosses the y-axis at 1 and the x-axis at 1.5. See that? So graphically and with some equations, that's how you find x and y intercepts. This is something we've actually already done, but we're going to revisit it anyway, finding x and y intercepts and graphing. We may not have time today. But let me give you your homework. We have about 3 more slides, so you can see there are things we haven't done yet. So is it okay if there are a couple problems with your homework that you can't do yet? Is that okay? Yes. Yes. Now, have you done them at some point in your life? Yes, probably. But this is not an assignment that's due Monday. In fact, you see, I have you want to understand it